Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day, and today we are going to do something about this complete mess of people. We have a lot of villagers in here that I want to do something with. I want to lay them out in a more organized format. Look at look at a T-Bone Walker over there, just hanging out in his gold armor. Yeah, we're going to organize these villagers into a set of trading cells, a kind of trading hall setup that we're going to make over here at the foot of this mountain, right by the iron farm, and we're going to lay them out in a series of little cells that we can go up to them and trade with them to our heart's content, and even sort out some of the villagers that have better trades than the others. That's going to be the idea. So I've actually set up one of these little villager trading cells ahead of time so you guys can see what the deal is here. And there's a pressure plate in there and a redstone lamp in the floor, and when you walk on top of the redstone lamp, a sticky piston activates underneath it, pushing it up into place, which means that if anything is standing on here, a villager, an animal, a creeper, whatever, it will kind of be locked into place and they won't be able to escape. At least 2-block tall mobs won't be able to escape, and the villagers count among those. Now, I'll show you the redstone for this in a minute, but one of the other things we will need to do to make sure that these villagers are zombie-proof, at least for the time being, is put either a fence or a trapdoor or something on top of that redstone lamp to make sure that baby zombies can't get in. I've also kind of taken out the corners around the back, and we might have to put fences either side here, because even if there is something on top of that pressure plate, which there will be if I throw that redstone lamp on top, you can still get to the villager from the side there. So that's kind of the thing that we want to avoid here, is having the villagers damaged by zombies at all. And I think, yeah, we'll create a set of these trading cells. We might create some kind of large building for it in the fullness of time, but for now, I kind of want to stack them up in different rows and just have them accessible to us whenever we want to do some trading. So hopefully all this is going to involve is running a minecart up to this, hopefully picking up a villager through the glass. That's not something I'm 100% confident will work right, so we might have to rejig a little bit of this around here, maybe put some full blocks in here so that they can be picked up from a corner with the minecart, but then they're just going to run all the way down here, and we'll redirect this rail as we need to. There are ways to automate this that make things a little bit kind of smoother for everybody and kind of lines the villagers up in a nice, neat row, but personally, I don't necessarily need to do that right now, and I think that's something we can save for the future if we want to do a slightly more sophisticated look at the villager trading hall. But I think for the moment what we'll do is run a bunch of minecarts into here, and for that I have brought a bunch of iron. We'll probably reclaim the minecarts one at a time where we can. We just have to make sure that we don't end up suffocating our villagers in blocks in the process. So let's see if this one works first of all. Nope, it is going to get stuck there. I thought it might. I had a suspicion, but there we go. No, we are getting one of them at a time, so we can kind of manually do that if we need to. There we go. Villager took a little bit of damage on the way in, but he is a librarian with a paper trade and a loyalty 1 book. That's going to be useful for that trident that we still need to enchant. Not too bad. Okay, so that guy is safely in his cell here, and like I said, we're going to set up a trapdoor over the top of him. I think maybe what we'll do is we could put an iron trapdoor like so on top of the glowstone, on top of the redstone lamp, and then I don't think baby zombies will be able to get up there anymore. We can as a player, but most mobs can't actually climb up anything higher than a block, which means the trapdoor makes him a little bit safer. But we will have to put fences on either side here, so I'll break out some wood to do that in a little bit. For now, though, we can probably reclaim this minecart as long as he doesn't jump out of it too high. Let's see if we can get the minecart hitbox here and swipe. Oh, no, he is jumping out of it. Okay, fair enough. I did worry that that was going to happen, so looks like we will have to avoid using that particular tactic for the moment. Let's see if we can get him back in the minecart. There we go. Just roll you in like so. And it looks like we're going to have to lose a few minecarts in this process, but that's fine. We've got an iron farm. Not a big deal. So we're going to redirect the minecart rail to here, and that's where we're going to set up our next trading cell. So they're going to be quite compact. They're going to be in a very close range of each other. And let's see if we have a little bit more dark oak that we can use to spruce this up a little bit. So now I can demonstrate exactly how this mechanism works. It's all going to be very, very simple. All we need to do is come down here and place a piece of redstone dust. We'll have a stone brick on top of that, and that's where our pressure plate is going to go. So you put a pressure plate of any kind there. It doesn't have to be a wooden one, but I'm using a wooden one for the time being. Then we're going to take our sticky pistons, of which I've made a huge number at this point. That needs to go down there next to the redstone dust, and you place a redstone lamp on top of it, and bada bing, it's all gonna work just like that. Which means it's time to get our next villager. Let's grab another minecart from here and see what we can get. So hopefully we should get a decent spread of villager professions here. I'm looking for farmers and librarians a lot of the time, but hopefully we will get a few others as well. There we go. We've got a blacksmith of some kind. Maybe he's going to be a toolsmith or an armorer. They're going to be a useful trade to have. There you go. In you go, fella. Sorry, you've not quite made it all the way there. Fantastic. He's in. Toolsmith with a decent coal trade. I imagine there will be a few more tools in there that we can grab from him. And it's always worth getting a few toolsmiths as we go, because toolsmiths are always going to have different trades. Much like librarians having different books, the enchantments that appear on the toolsmith's tools are always going to be slightly different each time. So it's going to be worth getting a few of these guys in here and maybe seeing who has the best trades for what type of weapon or armor or tool, whatever it happens to be. Now, I'm going to make a few more of these villager trading cells kind of side by side along here, and we'll redirect a few different villagers in here and we'll see how we get on. Okay, that is our next set of trading cells all set up. All I need to do is make a bunch more minecarts. We'll make as many as we basically can, and I'll throw a few things on the floor for the moment. Let's see if we can get ourselves a different type of villager. There we go, got a white apron guy going in, butcher or leather worker. Yes, looks like he's a butcher. Fantastic. We will box him in, and I've made a few trapdoors so that we can pop those on the top here as well. We'll probably replace this iron one just for the purposes of, you know, symmetry. And we've got a priest of some kind going in. There we go. Let's see what kind of trades you have. 40 rotten flesh. That's not going to be the best, but you never know. He might have another good trade down the line. You never know until you start trading a little bit more with them. So let's see what we can get next. Another white apron guy. Looks like we have another butcher. Yep, looks like we do. Not to worry. We'll deal with him in a second. Another librarian, or perhaps a cartographer. We will see. Yep, it's a cartographer. 35 paper trade. Again, not ideal for what we have right now, because I've already found woodland mansions and ocean monuments. Cartographers are not ideal, but yeah, we'll see if we can deal with him in just a second. Hopefully this priest has a slightly more favorable rotten flesh trade. Let's find out. 40 again. Well, you're basically exactly the same as the other guy, so we'll wait before dealing with you. And this guy is a Fletcher, which is going to be fantastic to have a Fletcher with a 16 string trade around here, especially considering the spoils we are getting from our spider farm. So there we go. We have our first row of villagers in, and now let's take a quick look at what they've got for sale. I think this librarian with the early paper trade being quite good is definitely worth keeping. Likewise the toolsmith, because we don't really know what other tools he's going to be selling. Let's trade a little bit of coal and find out if we can unlock anything good from back here, because sometimes these guys will have really great enchanted diamond gear a little bit later on down the line. We can probably trade you some of the iron. Once again, we have an iron farm, so I'm not that fussed about trading the iron. Efficiency 2, unbreaking 2 pickaxe for 15 emeralds is really not too bad. If we ever need to replace diamond tools, we just chuck a bunch of emeralds in this guy's direction. You guys know I have a ton of emeralds from trading with some of my other villagers, and we've got basically an unlimited supply of diamond tools. We would never need to go mining for a diamond again, even if we didn't have mending on some of this gear, so that's really worthwhile. We're going to keep this guy. He is worth having. Likewise, this butcher seems to have a pretty reasonable rate for raw pork chops compared to this guy who has 17. This guy only wants 14 raw pork chops, so if we end up setting up some kind of pig farm to trade with that guy, then he's going to be pretty much ideal. Next up, the cleric with the 40 flesh trade. I kind of feel like we want to get rid of him because he's not really doing much for us. A 36 rotten flesh trade is the ideal. We already have some guys back at the house who will trade rotten flesh for us, so I think we can probably get rid of this guy. Now, when it comes to disposing of villagers, most people will tell you not to kill them outright because this damages your reputation with the village. And if you have a village that you've actively kind of sought out in the wild, or one that you've created yourself using a setup with doors, then it's usually a good idea not to kill villagers outright, because if any iron golems happen to spawn in the area, then they will become aggressive to you if you've got your reputation down below a certain point. And every time you kill a villager, I think it deducts 3 from the total of your reputation. And every time you kill a villager child, it deducts 5. I think killing the villager's iron golem also deducts a significant amount of points. But they will never actually stop trading with you, because trading is the only way that you can bring your reputation back up again. So the only thing you really need to worry too much about is iron golems. Not only that, but there is a kind of mourning period that takes place whenever a villager dies to something that is not a player or a mob. So there are certain things that can still kill villagers, like lava and cacti if they walk into that kind of stuff. Maybe I think potions of harming might count if they get attacked by a witch or something like that. I'm not entirely certain. But there is a mourning period that takes place after a villager is killed by something that's not a player or another mob that means they won't breed for about 3 minutes. And that's kind of not what you want, especially if you have a villager breeder set up nearby. So I generally recommend killing them outright with your sword. It really doesn't do a huge amount of damage to your reputation with the other villagers around here. And right now we don't even have a village around here because the villager breeder doesn't have any doors in it. So really, it's not tracking that reputation in any way. And as such, it is pretty safe to kill these villagers. There shouldn't be any repercussions of that. In fact, the only thing around here that actually registers as a village is the doors up here in this iron farm, and if the iron golems would spawn and became aggressive to us, that wouldn't matter because they're just falling straight into lava anyway. But I think as it is, the villages up there, because we built the iron farm up in the sky, is far enough away that it's not going to affect anything, and these villages certainly shouldn't count towards the villages taking place in that iron farm. So we should be okay just to take care of some of these villagers this way. Likewise, I don't think we will do a whole lot with this butcher or this cartographer. I don't think we really need any of their trades. So we're going to take care of those guys, return the minecarts to us, and grab a couple more villagers out of the breeder. This cleric, I think we might keep around just in case he has a really good trade for bottles of enchanting or anything like that. Sometimes clerics have good lapis and redstone trades as well, so it's worth keeping them around occasionally. And this Fletcher, we are definitely keeping. So let's bring in a few more villagers over here. In fact, this is actually going to be a really fun way of demonstrating rail switching to you guys, because I've got a track leading up here and it forks in 2 different directions. And right now, with the way this is set up, obviously the track is going to curve around this way and it will end up on this block, which is going to transport a villager into this space. But if you place down a lever next to this or powering the block that it is sat on, it will actually change the direction of the track when you flick the lever, meaning that we can set up a track like this and have the villager redirect here. It's not just a lever either, it's any kind of redstone power turning on or off will switch the track in different directions, which can actually be very helpful when it comes to creating certain redstone contraptions for player transport or mob transport further down the line. If it's the kind of thing that you can use with minecarts, then that's going to be a very helpful thing. To encourage the villagers to gather in this corner, I'm actually going to flip up that trapdoor because that will mean that they can push themselves over here nice and easily. There we go. We got another priest coming in. Let's see if he has a slightly more favorable rotten flesh trade this time. 39. I mean, slightly more favorable. Like I said, probably not ideal though. So maybe we'll consider replacing you in the fullness of time. But now we can flip that track, move back over to the villager breeder, and see if we get another guy. Now, we've left that a little bit wide open right now. That shouldn't be a huge problem, especially whilst we're around here and monitoring the situation. Come on, can we get a farmer or something in here? I would love to get a farmer. Nope, looks like we're just getting priests all the way down today. Let's follow him in here. And 36. Okay, that is a lot better. The gold trade leaves something to be desired, though, but nobody's perfect, huh? Having this many clerics around has kind of made me wish I had a zombie farm. And I know we've got one over by the slime farm that maybe I could do something with in the fullness of time, but it would be really great to get a double zombie spawner somewhere in the world. I know they exist. I've found them in the past before. It's really great to get a ton of rotten flesh and trade it with clerics that way. But there are better trades you can actually do. Like, for example, the pumpkin trade is probably one of the better ones because you can carry around stacks and stacks of pumpkins and you're only ever trading them like 8 at a time, which means you probably get the maximum amount of emeralds for the stuff that you can carry in your inventory. Of course, it does require you to set up a pretty large-scale pumpkin farm, but I think our pumpkin farm is on the verge of overflowing right now. So I'm really hoping that we can get a decent set of farmer villagers in here that are going to give us some good prices on pumpkins. Now, an armorer is not something we've had before, so that's probably one who is worth keeping in here for the moment until maybe we find a better armorer. Now, you are basically a duplicate of this guy. In fact, you're just a little bit worse than this guy. So I think this cleric is probably going to have to go as well. And the villagers aren't getting mad at me for killing the others. They're not going to increase their prices or anything like that. We don't have to worry too much about the reputation side of things at all. Another white coat guy who could be a leather worker, and if he's a leather worker, I think we might keep him around. Nope, looks like he's a butcher and still has worse prices than the one we've already got. This guy's a leather worker, though, and to be honest, that's not the best leather trade, I think. I think we can probably get a better leather trade than that, but we don't have a leather worker yet, so I guess we'll keep him for now. So these guys are all locked in now, and I think they will probably stay there for a little while. Let me go and quickly make some fences that we can dash on either side to make sure that nothing can attack them through the corners, but I think aside from that, we are pretty set up with these. And the redstone lamps also do the work of lighting up the area a little bit better so that we have fewer chances of mobs to spawn in this general vicinity. So there we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 villagers in this row. I think it's time to start row number 2. I'm actually going to build the second row up here on top of the first one. We're just going to open up this area, put sticky pistons on basically every note block that we see here, and we should have a decent row of trading cells just along the top there. And then all we need to do is run along the wall along here, and we can trade with the new set of villagers when they're in here. So that's going to work out pretty well, I think. And I think now that I've explained the theory behind this, I can probably bring in my camera account and do this whole next section in the form of a time lapse. Welcome back, folks. Hope you enjoyed the time lapse, and we've got a bunch of villagers here. The weirdest thing is happening, though, and this is not something I've ever seen before in this kind of setup, probably because I didn't normally leave my villagers, like, in a villager breeder for this long, but they're actually passing carrots to each other, or trying to, at least, between these little trading booths, and I think this is just kind of the most adorable thing, not least because it means that I can just trade them straight back to the farmer villagers who are up here. This guy here has a trade for 15 carrots, which is not too bad. He's also got a really good melon trade, so I'll definitely be taking advantage of that. This guy, I have not unlocked the rest of his trades yet, so I'm probably going to start trading until I can take a look at the pumpkin and melon trades to see if we get anything good from this. That's 11. That's still not all that great. You know, I was really hoping for one of these farmers to end up with a melon trade, or a pumpkin trade, rather, that was like 7 or 8 or something like that, because that would be really, really useful. But unfortunately, yeah, we have an 8 melon trade here, a 7 here. That's not so bad. And I figure we've got enough pumpkins at this point that it's not going to be a huge loss if we end up trading away a whole bunch of them. Look, this whole system is like completely backed up and is overflowing now. So yeah, I really feel like we should probably start excavating some of these pumpkins and melons and trading them in with the farmers over here. So I think I'm going to do that for a little bit. We've also got a bunch of stuff that we can trade to some of the other guys. And for the most part, I've been a little bit more judicious about the people I put in here, but there are some people who are sticking around just for the sake of it. Like this leather worker down here trades 12 leather for an emerald. I've got one up here that I think trades for 7 somewhere. There's 10 there. And then it's one of these guys. Yeah, this one's got a 9 leather trade, and this is another one with 10. So I've got a lot of leather workers in here, and not a huge amount of leather. But then again, I don't have a huge amount of I don't have a huge amount of uses for leather right now. So chances are I will be able to trade a bit of leather with these guys. But I'm going to grab a shulker box of pumpkins and a shulker box of melons from my little supply in here. In fact, I'll probably get a different shulker box for these. I might just use one that's not even related. I'm so bad at that. I always want to use the same color for the pumpkins and melons. I want to use like an orange and a green shulker box, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, does it? So I think I'll probably grab some of these melons out of here in this pink shulker box. We'll put the pumpkins in the orange one, and yeah, we should be able to do a fair bit of trading with these. We're always just going to get more pumpkins anyway. There's one now, in fact, so it's not going to be a huge problem if we trade them away to like 11 pumpkins per emerald as opposed to, you know, 9 pumpkins per emerald or 8, it's not going to make a huge difference. And after trading with these guys for a solid 5 minutes, I've gone through my entire stock, more or less, of pumpkins and melons, and we have 6 stacks of emeralds and 3 left over. That's pretty incredible. That's close to having another row of these, and we would have a full stack of emerald blocks just out of these 2 farmers alone, just out of the people who are trading for pumpkins and melons. We have so much emerald now, and that's going to be enough to buy us some pretty decent weapons and armor if we trade with the armorers and the toolsmiths that are down here on this level. We've also got a cartographer here who can trade us an emerald for a compass, which seems like a bit of a raw deal because you have to craft these things, but then again, you get armorers and I think some of the blacksmith types that will actually ask for like 8 iron ingots for 1 emerald. So having a cartographer that will trade you on for what is basically 4 iron ingots and a single piece of redstone is really not that bad of a trade when you think about it. I've got a Fletcher up there and a fisherman down here who will trade us for string. We've also got a bunch of librarians. Aside from that one cartographer who's actually got a pretty decent paper trade as well, we have this librarian here with a 25 paper trade. We have a few along the top that sell different types of enchanted books, and I think that's what I'm going to go for next. I might actually try and weed out a few more librarians from the villager breeder, because just having 1 or 2 of the professions, as long as they've got decent trades, is not a bad idea. But librarians are the ones you probably want to have the most of, because there's a huge variety of enchanted books within the game, and right now what I'm after is a librarian that can trade me a channeling book, because that's one of the things I need to get on the Trident now that we've decided we're going to be putting loyalty and channeling on it, and I don't have access to a channeling book right now. I think I have a loyalty 3 book that I managed to enchant just off of the enchanting table, and I've got enough levels that I could probably do a massive enchanting session, but it'd also be a great idea to get a couple of books out of these guys as well. And if I can get it that easily, instead of having to waste all of my levels and so forth on enchanting stuff, I can use them for repairs and renaming items and all kinds of other things as well, then that's what I'll do. I've been trading the paper that I've been making at the sugarcane farm for a little while. We've actually been trading this off camera with the villagers that are in my house for a little while, but we still do have a decent amount left over here because this thing is constantly running in the background, so we're always going to be getting paper out of this, and I guess we can trade that with some of the librarians we've got over here now that we're getting better trades out of that, and we can even see if they have any books that are worthwhile a little bit further down the line. It's always best to unlock a librarian to their fullest before you decide whether or not you want to keep them around, because you never know, they might have that one book trade at the end of the trading queue that kind of surprises you. It comes out of nowhere, and that's where you can find your really great mending trades a lot of the time, and those are always worth keeping around. But this is just the beginning of what can be accomplished with a trading hall, with a full kind of set of villagers just laid out like this for you to be able to trade with. It makes everything a lot more organized, and you can even start to add signs along the top here indicating which villagers have which trades to remind you that this guy has the 25 paper trade and will sell you a pretty decent Fortune 3 book, whereas another guy up there might have mending or looting or fortune or anything like that. We can very easily spot which one is which by labeling them with signs or maybe even items in frames, that kind of thing. But that is all I wanted to do in this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide, so thank you so much for watching. My name has been Pixlriffs. Don't forget to leave a like on this episode if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.